Like many others, when I took up the art of mixing music in Pro Tools, I went to the internet to try to find the answers. There were blogs, there were YouTube videos, there were more blogs, and there were more YouTube videos. But it was always difficult because most YouTube videos, what they show you is tips and tricks and how to do this with a plugin, how to do that with a plugin. Now, those videos are great, but they weren't good for me because at the time I just wanted to learn to set up a session and I didn't know the basics. From importing audio to gain staging my tracks, man, talk about something difficult to understand gain staging. Now, while I've been doing it for a few years, I've yet to learn so much. But the purpose of me doing these videos is not for showing anyone how to mix, rather to show people how I mix. And if you know me, my mixing still stinks a little bit. So, hey, whatever. But I'm just going to show it to you. And mix series number 4, I'm going to take it from start to ending. And this video series is for beginners or even those that think they still need to polish up some of their chops, and that's okay, or even for more advanced users. Everyone's got a little bit to share, and I'm just going to share my workflow. Okay, that's enough of me. My name is George, and this is NS345 Mix Series number 4.
Do you wanna be my baby? 'Cause this could be more than just a one night rendezvous. You got my heart acting crazy, baby.
Okay, so I went online and I found some mix tracks, some multi tracks from the Telefunken website. This was from a mix competition. I think it took place in February. Well, I thought this would be a good song to mix. It's a little different. It's not the regular acoustic stuff or instrumental stuff that I mix. This has got a little bit of funk, a little bit of pop, and a little bit of R&B involved. So it's gonna be fun. So I'll post the link down below. Just another comment. Please subscribe to my channel if you can, and also visit my like page in Facebook, facebook.com/ns345. And also, I have a webpage, ns345.net, but I also have a private Facebook group where you can join and ask questions or just talk about the mix. So I'll post the links below and come and join us, all right? Okay, so I've got the tracks here. I clicked on Jessica Childress Slow Down audio files, and I just clicked on download part 1. I downloaded the tracks, and they're downloaded here. And these are the tracks that came up. Okay, so one thing I want to say before I get started is I'm downloading these tracks just for sharing purposes. I'm not selling them. I'm not making money on them. In fact, my video is not going to be even monetized for this because they're not my tracks. I don't even know these people. So I just thought it would be a cool track to mix. Okay, so you can download the tracks for yourself. But here are the tracks. The first thing that I do is I want to check how these tracks were recorded. I want to check the sample rate. But if you read the website here, it does tell you right here 24-bit, 44K. But if you didn't have that, what you can do is you could right click on one of these tracks. And I'm on Apple, so I'm sorry for those PC users because I do not know how to use Pro Tools or do all this stuff in PC. So if you right click on it and show info, it'll tell you here sample rate is 44K and the bits per sample is 24. So when I create my session, I need to make sure that I use those settings. Otherwise, there might be some conversion issues, clicks, pops, and other stuff, or the music may even slow down, not play at the right speed. One thing that this does not mention is the tempo. So let me just see. But we'll figure it out. Apparently, reading this was a one-take song, so I'm sure it won't be perfect, but it's pretty awesome, especially the mics they used, and they recorded this on an HD system. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Finder. I'm going to grab this folder, and I'm going to throw it on my external hard drive, and I'm just going to say copy. So I'm going to go to my external hard drive. I'm going to go to Pro Tools. I'm going to go to Songs, Projects, and I'm just going to say, what is this? Telefunken. I'm just going to create a new folder called Telefunken. And in here, I'm going to create a new Actually, I'm just gonna paste it here. Okay, so we said this was 4424, so I'm gonna open up Pro Tools now. And I'm gonna create a new session. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for a location where I'm gonna store this session, and I'm gonna go to the folder I've just created in my hard drive, external hard drive. Excuse me. And I forgot what I called it. Telefunken. There it is. And here is the song. I like to name everything appropriately so that when I'm looking for stuff, it's not difficult. So let me just get it's called Jessica Childress Slow Down. So I'm gonna go back over here. I'm gonna create actually I'm just gonna do it here. I'm gonna create a new folder, and I'm just gonna call it JC, just as they did there. Project. That's what I usually call it, and I usually put the date 02. That's February 29 Feb 2016. Okay, so this is where it's gonna be, where I store my project. Then I hit open. Before I do anything else, I'm gonna rename this Jessica Childress _ slow down _ project. Okay, and I'm gonna make sure I click interleave so that my stereo files transfer as stereo files and my mono files transfer as mono files. I'm gonna go to 44 and 24. There it is. Wave and IO settings. I'm just gonna say stereo mix. Okay, I'm not creating it from a template, so I'm gonna click this because I'm gonna start from scratch, and then I'm gonna hit create. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is double check my session settings, and I'm gonna hit Command 2, and you're gonna see here 44 24-bit, so that's correct. So that way I won't have any issues with conversion. I'm gonna open up my Finder. Now I'm gonna import the tracks. I'm gonna go look for them right where I stored them earlier. So there they are. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. Number one, you can drag them into the tracks window, or you can actually drag them into the clips window. If you drag them into the tracks window here, what it's gonna do, it's gonna automatically create the tracks for you, mono or stereo. If you drag them into the clips window, it's just gonna leave the WAV files there so that you can drag them in as appropriate. Maybe you have templates that you use, but for this session, I'm gonna start from scratch as I always do. So the way I'm gonna bring them in is I'm just gonna select them all. Then I'm gonna drag them into here, and you're gonna see it create the tracks for me. There they are. And I like to have all of the window space available, so I hit Option A to do that. I'm gonna leave them in the in the medium window size, and I'm just gonna start renaming this. That's the first thing I do. This looks like a rough mix, so I'm just gonna call it rough. Then I'm gonna hit Command right arrow, bass amp, bass DI, Command right arrow, drums, Command right arrow. Actually go back, and I think this is overheads. I looked at it earlier. Hall is just I'm gonna say DR Hall. It's like a room mic, some sort of effect they had. Hi-hat, kick, room, snare, tom 3, tom 1, tom 2, guitar, keys, Vox, Vox 2, I'm going to call it that for now, lead vocal, Vox 3. And I know that because I was listening to them earlier. And there's the rough, and that's okay. So now if you go here, you can look at all your tracks. So the next thing I want to do, I just want to position them in the right place or to what I'm used to. So I'm going to deselect them all. I'm going to select all the drum tracks, kick, room, snare, and I'm holding down command. Overheads, drum hall, hi-hat, toms, and I'm going to bring these all the way to the left or to the top. Then I'm going to bring the rough all the way to the bottom. I'm going to bring the bass, amp, and the DI next to the drums, the guitar and the keys, that's correct. And then the lead vocal, I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to rename this one Vox 1. Vox 2, Vox 3, I'm going to rename this one as well. And you can't see the window because I enlarged this by doing control and sliding my fingers on my trackpad. So now my tracks are positioned the way I like them or the way I'm familiar with. I'm sorry, they're labeled the way I like them. But what I like to do is I like to organize my drums. So I like my kick there. Then I like my snare. Then hi-hats. Then I'll bring the toms, 1, 2, and 3. Drag those. But I'm going to put them in order, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm assuming that's from rack tom 1, 2, and 3, and maybe 3 is the floor tom. Then my overheads, and this looks like an effects track. There's a room track there. Now I'm going to color these. And I like to color my drums red. I'll leave the bass amp and the bass DI the way they are. The guitar, I'll color some sort of brown. The keys, I'll just find something that matches or that doesn't match, and I'll do some kind of crazy color. Then the vocals, I do them all green. Crazy green. And then I'll leave the rough. Actually, I'll do that in red. Okay, so now we have our session set up. There's no buses. There is no mix bus. There's no master track just yet because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do some gain staging, and this is where the fun begins. See you on the next video.